There's been a lot of comments in the sections regarding, what's too rusty. A lot of people will get turned off by this amount of rust. If you can see it in the camera, this is barely nothing. It looks brown and it's got its rust spots all over it, covered in dirt and cobwebs. Again, probably a locomotive that's been sitting in the basement for decades. But that shouldn't stop you from picking this up, because this thing, guaranteed, with a cleanup, it's going to go right back on the track and it's going to run around no problem. So we've got the 2065 on the bench. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on here, and that will release the motor from the shell. Just make sure you unhook the that thing from the shell itself. So we're going to have a look at this. This is the condition it was in when I got it. I haven't touched it since the unboxing video. And, at first glances, it's pretty rough. It's got a lot of dust on it, a lot of dirt. There's a lot of surface rust all over the place. The pickup rollers back here in the rear trucks on the rear wheels are filthy. But really, this is not bad at all. I've seen much worse. So if you guys come across one that's in this condition, or even, because you'll see it with the shell on first. The shell's not too pretty either. It's got someone's signature on it. It's chipped all over the place. There's a huge chunk of paint missing from the back. The steps in the front, they're bent up. But that doesn't matter. This is still a solid runner. It's not a museum piece. If that's what you're looking for, okay, I get it. Toss it off to the side, look somewhere else. If you're looking for just a good solid runner that might need a little bit of TLC to bring it back to life, this is what you're looking for. I think I just poked myself. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this apart a little bit, and we're going to get a Dremel tool in here, and we're going to do some cleaning up. We're going to clean off these wheels, clean off that armature. I'm going to do it all with just taking off as little as I possibly can. We're going to take off these side rods, get them out of the way. Slide these pieces off like that. You can get a slot to take this one off, because I think this is a very original conditioned 2065. It just hasn't been on the tracks in a while. I see so many great locomotives for sale at the show that are in a little bit of a rougher state. I'm not looking for museum quality pieces. I never was. I just like the stuff that runs. And having noticed that there were so many complete looking locomotives just with a lot of dirt and grime like this one has, I realized that I could pick up some good deals. I just had to figure out how to bring them back to life, which was the reason for doing all of these videos. And these locomotives too, like when they're this chipped up on the shell, I have no problems repainting them, putting a new set of decals on them, and putting them in the collection. Okay, I'm going to leave the truck on for now. I think I can separate the wheel from it. There we go. Let's pop that out with a screwdriver. And we can get in there now. What I always start with, as you guys who've watched the channel probably have already guessed, is the green Scotch pad. Because that does a great job without a whole lot of effort. You don't really need that thing on there. And these little arms, they can actually swing out a little bit to help. So already you can see it's taking a lot of old dirt and dust off of this arm. So right away, I can tell this thing it's probably going to run with just a cleaning. And that's what I'm really going for with this particular video is, you guys see a good deal, it's got a little bit of surface rust on it, jump on it, just grab it. And all it probably really needs is what I'm going to do here, and that's just a very simple cleaning. Now I'm going to take the smoke unit out so that I can get underneath there. Oh, wrong screwdriver. And clear out the rest of this. So what I'm trying not to do for this video is unsolder anything. So I'm going to be careful with the wires to make sure I don't break any of the connections. And just keep this a straight, scrubbing, and maybe apply a little bit of wire wheel with the Dremel tool to some of the tougher spots. So I'm going to get this right out of the way. And by using my screwdriver, I'm just going to stick it into the smoke chamber to try to pry this lid off. There we go. Get that all out of the way. Let's just start on it piece by piece. The pieces I like to start with are the easiest ones to get to, like the smoke piston. Again, just buffing it off a little bit. Give that a wipe. That's done. That's ready to go. Let's have a look at this part. That's not too bad. I can see right through the hole there, so the air is going to come up through this cylinder and puff out the smoke. No problem. No spider webs in this end. That's good. So there we go. That's done. And while we got all of this off, let's just clean these little decks. Let's blow some of that excess out. So we got this side arm is nice and clean. We can get some of this dust and hair out of there. No problem. Just going to wipe that out. That takes care of that. The underside of this. So again, not taking it apart too far. We can get this truck off. That's an easy removal. One screw and it's done. And that'll help us get to some other parts. And once again, if this is the first time that you're taking apart a locomotive like this, take some pictures first before you start dismantling it. I've taken... The 2065 is very similar to the 2055, which I have two of, and I have taken both of them apart several times for maintenance because I've put a lot of hours on them. And this train is exactly the same as those in construction. So I'm very familiar with how this comes apart and goes back together. All right, so we got the two arms cleared off. So the side rods will be able to move along these quite freely. And they're not going to get bound up, which they wouldn't really anyways. So there we go. There's that. Now we got some fur on the gears, but I really don't want to pop these wheels off. So I'm going to see what I can do. That's really not that bad. I want to clean up the surface of the wheels because that's the ground to the track. And then I want to clean up the pickup roller, obviously, because that's the pickup roller. So I want to make sure that that's clear. We'll take off this bearing plate while we're here and have a look underneath because this thing's looking pretty dry. So while we're cleaning, we can also lubricate as well. Yep, dried up. So we'll get rid of that old dried grease. And we will put some new fresh stuff on. In fact, while I'm working on the rest of this locomotive, I think I'm going to dump this in the oil bath and kind of let it sit for a little while. And I actually do have a spare in there. These brush plates were common to a lot of locomotives. So I have a couple, and I keep one in the oil bath just in case, because letting these soak and absorb a little bit of the oil, which they do, will save you a ton of headache about running a dry locomotive. So that's soaking. Let's get all of this hair and debris out of here. I don't think this thing's been lubricated in a while. There's not a lot of grease and oil left on it. This might have been the reason it was shelved. Who knows? Okay. So I'm actually happy with that. I'm thinking that that's pretty good already. So we're going to do, obviously, the armature and commutator. They need some help quite badly. So once again, green Scotch pad to the rescue. This one might take a little more elbow grease than normal just because that is so caked on. And one other thing I want to point out is there's a washer here that you might not notice right away, especially if it's really dirty. It's right here. So we're going to lift that off so we can really clean this up. See, there's a lot of junk stuck under that washer. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to get my special little toothpicks. Once again, we're going to clean out in the grooves here. Like so. Get that. And there's really nothing coming out. Since the original bearing plate was so dry, I am going to pull out my backup that has been sitting in here now for, I don't know, 6 months now, I think. It's been in there a while. It'll be good to go. I just have to get a cloth to wipe it down. So we're going to wipe off the excess, not too much. And this thing looks fantastic on the underside there. I think that's going to work quite well. Oh, before I put that on, I should hit this gear with some fresh grease, as it hasn't seen any in quite some time. So all of that is looking good. The E-unit, let's pop this out. These are usually the source of a lot of reasons things don't run. And let's have a look at it. Make sure there's no oil on the screwdriver. So this here copper section is what you want to see. You want to see nice bright copper there. Not all black, covered up. So this E-unit is actually, this isn't bad at all. This is really good. I think I might just try to give it a quick little scrub anyways. That section that's exposed. You also want to be careful when you're cleaning this like this, because it has little fingers right there, and they are not the thickest material, and they can easily bend. And if they do and don't make a contact, your train is not going to go backwards or forwards. It might go one way or the other, or maybe neither, if that contact is broken. I'm happy with that. The E-unit really does look fine. We can put it back in its position. And there is one screw that holds this in, and it's right here. And it is a little bit of a pain in the neck to get to because of where it is. So it's definitely good to have a magnet tip screwdriver. There we go. That's locked down. So now we can start putting the smoke unit back together. Where's my plunger? You know what? We might as well give the tips of the arms here for this plunger a little bit of a clean too, just so we know that they're going to be running smoothly back and forth in their little saddle on the chassis. Just drop that in. Put our piston back in place. And there's 2 screw holes here on either side of these feet. And that's what holds this down. Good to go. Plunger's in. Headlight's still hooked up. All the other wires are still intact. We can now drop this back down on top. And it just pushes in. And hopefully that will work. All right, so we've got the 2065 motor and chassis all back together. So just to recap what we did, just from the straight purchase, we took the shell off, saw how dirty the motor and the chassis was, and all we did was clean it up with a wire brush of a Dremel, a little bit of the scouring pad, some lubrication back onto the bearing plate, and on the shaft of the armature. What you didn't see, what I did off camera, is I did shoot some oil onto the axles themselves. So the only extra piece was replacing the brush plate with a reproduction. So other than that, everything was as it was when I bought it, just cleaned up. So let's see if just a cleaning was enough to get this back running again. So just make sure we're on. Everything's good. Let's throw some power to the transformer. We got power. Oh, there's the E unit. It wasn't on. Is it cycling? Oh, there we go. Now it's on. We have reverse, neutral. Forward's a bit sticky. Looks like we have a contact problem with the pickup roller here. So I want to check that out. But we do have power. So I know the E unit's working. The motor is working. There we go. It's coming back to life now. I see some smoke coming out of the smoke unit now too. Okay, so I played around a little bit with the pickup rollers because they're not grooved at all. These are not worn out by any means. And I know the wire going to the power is good because this thing is getting power. And it is starting to come to life a little bit more the more we run it. So with just a couple of those little couple adjustments, I think we're good. So I'm actually very happy with this. Just a little bit of cleaning brought this thing back to life. No rewiring or nothing. I'm going to put this on the big layout out in the big room with the shell back on and open her up a little bit and see if that works out the bugs. And also, I'm sure this lubricant here needs to get into the axles and everything because, I mean, it was super dry. Very, very dry. I'm going to put some more lube actually on these gears. Let's put it on the big track after that with the shell and see what we get at that point. Just one quick little thing I want to mention that I did here before we put her on the big track is I took this shell over to the laundry sink there, and just with some palm olive, a little bit of warm water, and a scrub brush, gave this thing a bit of a clean, and you can see it actually came out quite nicely. I mean, it's still full of chips, it's still missing its side rails, these steps are still busted, but now it doesn't have all that dirt stuck in it. I just want to make sure before I put this shell back on the motor that there is no water in it that can drip onto the motor itself. 3, 4. One. So here we got the 2065 back on the big layout. So we've got a clean shell with a little bit of palm olive and some warm water and a bit of scrubbing. Got all the water out of that. We had a very surface rusty and dried grease chassis that looked like a horrible mess that is now cleaned and lubricated and nothing else done to it. No rewiring, no tearing apart any units or anything like that. Just a straight clean. And we have a fantastic working locomotive. You know, she's missing her handrails. That's fine. We got some chips out of the paint. That's fine too. This thing runs like a charm. It even has a working smoke unit. Let's send this around a couple times, show you what she can do, and then we'll wrap up today's video. So let's just get to it now. There we have it. Perfectly fine, perfectly good running 2065 that was really dirty, really covered in surface rust when we got it, but all it needed was a little bit of cleaning. When you see the rusty post-wars, pre-wars, or even MPC, don't turn your nose up at them. They could be a bargain just waiting to grab. Guys, thank you very much for watching this video. This one was a lot of fun to do, especially because I got to answer some questions from you guys in the comments section. And I hope you all found it very useful. For the people that did ask me about, repairing rusty Lionels and are they worth it, I hope this helped a little bit when you're out there making your decisions to purchase one of those types of locomotives. In my opinion, definitely worth the effort. So, until the next time, don't forget to do all the YouTube stuff. Hit the notification bell, the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And we will see you on the next video with maybe some more rust. All right, guys, take it easy.